My name is Leona Davis. I am 58 years old. I grew up in the Hamilton, Parksville area. My mother and father moved us around in that area in 1966. It wasn't too many African Americans around in that neighborhood. It was, to be exact, my two sisters and I, and the next door neighbors, but they wouldn't come out. And then we had Daryl down the street from us. Daryl had lived there in the neighborhood way before we did. I attended Garrett Heights Elementary School at the age of 9. The total in the classroom was 34. We had 27 white kids and 7 African American kids. So I befriended a white girl named Sylvia. We became very good friends, the best of friends. We started hanging out. Sylvia would come to my house after school. We would eat, hang out, play with dolls, and do those kind of things. We would go to her mother's house after school. Her mother would feed me, and my mother would feed her because she didn't really know what it was to have African-American food. She liked my mother's spaghetti, so she would come down there and do those sorts of things, right? One day while coming home from school, one of the white guys approached her and asked her, what was she doing playing and hanging out with the nigger? And she said, this is my friend. And they said, white people don't have niggers as friends. So they told her to stop hanging with me, and she didn't. So they came back and told her, you know, if she didn't beat me up or do what they say do, then they would beat her up. So Sylvia, being scared, slapped me in my face, and her handprint was in my face. But Lord and behold, I went home and told my mother. My mother went to her house and talked to her mother, and we weren't allowed to play with her anymore. At least I wasn't allowed to play with her anymore. From then on, I kind of stayed to myself and was kind of shy. Then we had the white guys still bothering us, running us home from school. We had John, he was the bully, the class bully. They would run us home from school. They would run Daryl in the alley. And in the bushes, Daryl had asthma. Daryl would be running home, wheezing and crying. And then after that, you know, we would go to school from time to time. They would just run us home for no apparent reason at all because they didn't like African Americans. My sisters and I didn't understand the reason why, because where I had came from, I never saw too many white people until I moved around there. So I never understood why they didn't like us so much. We didn't do anything to them. So my father and them would make us play in the backyard. We couldn't roller skate. We couldn't ride our roller skates. We couldn't ride our bicycles or anything. We had to play in the backyard because around that neighborhood, they wasn't used to seeing African Americans riding skates. Well, put it like this. They never saw people riding skates, period, African American or white people, because they just never did. And like I said, we didn't have that many friends because it wasn't that many of us. So when we would go around the corner, I befriended another African American girl that was in my class. They would always tell her she was so black that you couldn't even see her, you know, and she was always quiet and shy and crying. And she had brothers, so her brothers would go after them. They went to Hamilton Junior High School, and they would always have fights and stuff up there. The police would come when the white boys was fighting. You know, they wouldn't come when the white boys was fighting the African American guys. But when the African American guys started fighting the white guys, then they would come. So we would walk up the street to Highs, my sisters and I, at nighttime to get an ice cream cone. They would run us home. By the time we get home, the ice cream be melted. My mother worked at John Hopkins, and the area where we lived at, the bus stop was so far away. My sisters and I would meet her up there to make sure that she was okay. And come to think about it, we was kids ourselves, but we would go up there to make sure that my mother was okay, that nobody would do anything. But they would just come out and call us niggas and spit at us and all those kind of things, until one day my mother had this blade, and then they really found out that she was a grown woman. At least John did. He knew who she was, so they stopped bothering us for a while. We went to the store one night. My father was in the car. And he went in the store. My sisters and my mother and I was in the car. They got on the car and started beating on the car with the sticks and calling us niggas, get out the car, what they was gonna do to us. And by the time my father came out, they had left. So he backed up down the street and went down there to see what was going on, but they were gone. But nevertheless, after that, you know, they took a stand, the African Americans, and we stood up. And after that, it was over. They did nothing else to us no more. We was free to walk around in the street, and some of them became friends, you know, after they got a little bit older. Now, the young lady that I was friends with, I never saw again. My sister would see her from time to time, and she would ask how I'm doing. And now my mother's neighborhood is African Americans. There's a lot of African Americans around there now. It's only a couple of those white kids that grew up around there and stayed in the neighborhood. But now, like I said, it's African Americans around there.